everybody. This is Jess, and I am the host of the Cosplay For Christ podcast. I am so glad you're here. We have decided that we are going to do, and I say we because I actually have multiple friends here. We're going to do a recap of the Realm Makers Writers Conference and Expo that we just all attended. Now, half of us was on the Expo side, two of us were on the actual inside, behind the scenes side. And then the other half were attending as writers themselves. We also have a couple ladies that weren't able to make it, but we had a whole crew of first-time Realmies. And I thought, hey, let's get together, let's talk about it, and let everyone know about how our first Realm Makers conference went. As I love doing recaps after I attend events. It's exciting to talk about the cool stuff that happened and how God worked through us and by us and for us and all the things, because that was definitely this conference. God was very much at work in this conference. So I'm going to just start off by going through my panel of friends here, and you guys just go ahead and say your name to the audience, who you are, your title, whatever you want to say. And we're going to go ahead and start with Ms. Katie.
Hi, guys. I am Katie with Bountiful Living Podcast, and I was so privileged to be invited to this because it was a fiction conference and I write nonfiction, but there was still a place for me. And what I loved the most was that everywhere we went, from the very top of kind of every day, we had like a main speaker. And they were really encouraging people to glorify God and to co-author with God. He was definitely at the center of everything. And the thing that impressed on me the most is I have been studying, because I write nonfiction, I write Bible studies, and my podcast is an encouragement for people in their faith. And I've been studying a lot about what the church is and how we're supposed to be. And I can say that what I saw, instead of competition amongst the authors, was a collaboration, that we are all in the kingdom together doing kingdom work. And we are here to glorify God, make his name great, and to use the gifts and talents that he has imparted to each and every one of us, and to spur one another on to love and good works, because that's what God has called us to do as believers. So that is what was impressive to me the most.
That was good. Miss Christy?
Hi, I am Christy, known by my author name as C. Ash or Cash. I write speculative fiction. I'm also a full-time graphic designer. This was also my first Realm Makers conference. I found it online and then was pestering everybody else to join me. And it was such a great time, my first time, to really see a place where the sort of nerd community and Christians who are really passionate about their calling and what God has called them to do with their craft kind of came together, and it was a glorious meeting of those two things. So really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Miss Laura?
Hi, I'm Laura A. Farrar. I'm an author and filmmaker and artist. It's my first year at Realm Makers also. I kind of was on both sides. I was on the booth side with Cosplay For Christ and Chantay with Faithcon, and then also on the author side. And, it's really impressive when you go with a group that's so Christ-like, and when people are receiving awards, and, award ceremonies are funny, where they're like, oh, I thank my family, I thank my mom, I thank God. Well, this was actually genuine, and that's just honestly, that was probably one of the most unique experiences, because, I've seen plenty of ceremonies where everyone's thinking and it's just kind of there. But the sincerity was really incredible to me.
Yeah,
So.
That was good. Miss Mickey?
Hi, my name is Mickey. I am co-founder of Faithcon Convention with my mom, founder of the LampShop, and honestly, I just love fiction.
Hey, Miss Chantay?
She made that brief.
She's in and out. She's in and out. She just missed the word.
She did that. Okay. I'm Chantay Hadley, and I'm also an author, but I was at the Realm Makers conference in the context of Faithcon Convention. I'm the executive director there and a founder with my daughter, and also there in conjunction with Cosplay For Christ. And the most exciting part about being there was, hey, we get to pass out these convention survival kits, which I love doing because we are all about safety in convention spaces. And, there wasn't any incidents that were expected at all regarding safety. And yet, and still, we saw before the conference even started good, someone carried out, most likely from observation, heat exhaustion, right? Uh, and that's what we give the survival kits out for. So it was very exciting, very, very beautiful. Like Laura said, genuine. But I'm biased. The group that I was with was genuine and loving, and I loved serving in that arena with the people I was with. But as a whole, it was a great experience.
Yeah. Well, and I would say, like, I just enjoyed the connection with people. I came into this conference having zero connections with any writers in this. I didn't know anybody other than our group of women, honestly, and like two other guys that I've had connections with over the past year. So to come in from ground zero and just to experience Realm Makers for the first time, honestly, I was so glad that we were able to go. It was just really cool and exciting to see so many people. So on the cosplay side of things, to be so excited to see that there was a cosplayer person there, like with a booth, and like to have the people come and just want to talk to me about the costumes or about their kids or about whatever, and because it's a form of creativity that is not always encouraged in the Christian community, but in this space it was welcomed and people were just excited. There was like excitability in everybody that we encountered, and that was honestly like just brought me a lot of joy to just be able to also provide that for them, joy for them that I'm in costume, so that was a cool thing for us. Okay, so let's walk through the Realm Makers. For those that don't know, Realm Makers is a Christian fantasy writing conference, but then this is their second year. They just finished, this last one was their second year of including an expo on the back end of it. So the first 2 days are writing conference, and then there's the middle day, which is the last day of the writers conference, first day of the expo kind of overlap. And the expo starts on a Friday, Saturday, and then the last day is like expo only. So it kind of progresses from strictly writing over to, we had vendors from colleges, we had majority authors that were in the expo, but there was also filmmakers, production studios, animators, I mean, conventions, publishers. There was a lot of different mix in the community of the days. So, ladies, on the writing side of it, that attended, because I did not attend any of the writing conferences. So I know Katie, Christy, Laura, you guys attended the writer side of it. So starting with Katie, why don't you guys talk a little bit about the benefit, or, what did you get out of the writer side of the conference?
I missed a lot of it because I was actually pitching and doing mentorship with my daughter was there with me, and she got to go on the teen track, which was so awesome because they have a spot for you to bring teens, and she loved all the training that she received. I did get to go to all the keynotes, so that was good. And I just left very inspired. As far as any specific writing skills, I wouldn't say that I learned that for myself specifically, because I know these ladies attended different panels and they could speak to that. But the creativity glitch, Alan Arnold, yes, he was incredible in kind of encouraging us all in our craft and to kind of get past some roadblocks that we can experience as writers.
Christy?
I really wanted to talk about sort of the spectrum of different classes that are available, because there were classes that were more strictly focused on the spiritual aspects of writing and how we connect with our calling. There were classes that were very skills-based and craft-based, helping you get better at the craft of writing itself. There were classes strictly on marketing. So I felt like I attended a pretty broad spectrum of classes. The first 2 classes that I attended were about writing fight scenes and just like the physiology and like what happens with the body and like adrenaline and learning stuff like that. And that was really fun. That was an energetic kind of upbeat class. And there's a lot of practical stuff in that class. I attended a practical class about writing prose. I also attended a showing. They had like multiple showings of different like short films and documentaries that were coming out. There's a documentary that's going to be coming out that's a 5-part documentary about the friendship of Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. And so I got to see little pieces of that. It's a pretty lengthy documentary. So they were showing just pieces from sections 1 to 5 of the documentary. And that was really fascinating. They did such great work, honestly, on that documentary, such great filming. They talked to a lot of experts and it was very well put together. And so just an incredible spectrum of stuff to see and experience. And then I wanted to show this as well, because this is also an Alan Arnold book. I just started it. Actually, we were still at the conference and I had already started this book when we were at the room, but this is a fantastic book.
Put it right under your face real quick.
Just right here?
Yes, right there. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, this is a fantastic book. I've really loved it so far. It's called Risk the Real by Alan Arnold. And this one is more about connecting with your calling as a writer. So any roadblocks that you face that may be more spiritual roadblocks or being focused on the important things in life and the real things that God has called us to and not getting bogged down in the artificial, which is, you know, the stuff that distracts us, the entertainment, being consumers instead of creators, and that kind of aspect. So I just wanted to second that Alan Arnold was a really great speaker and I've really enjoyed his book so far.
Awesome. How about Miss Laura for the writer's side of the conference?
Well, I mostly attended kind of marketing kind of stuff because I feel like that's like, I don't know, I'm about to launch a book series and I'm always, you know, Kickstarters and things. And so I was like, okay, there's a man from Kindlepreneur whose booth is right next to ours. And I was like, dear God, please help me be friends with this person who does this well. I'm like, I'm sure I made that awkward, but his classes were really, really great explaining how to make sure, like a lot of things that I already knew, but just kind of confirming, okay, these are the right steps that I should be taking with marketing, with, you know, emails and it just overall, it was just really, really, for that, I was just really impressed with it. So.
Okay. And then since you kind of were also on the Expo side, we'll now stop writing conference. We're now entering into Expo side of the conference. So Laura, once you start, then Mickey and Chantay and I can follow you.
I kind of really enjoyed being in the Expo side a little more because I'm just kind of, it's hard for me to sit still that long where I'm just like, okay, I'm listening. Okay. But I really enjoyed getting to go around and talk to as many tables as possible. And it's kind of neat when there's that many kind of introverted people who are around, like how do you break the ice and stuff. So kind of my gimmick on the last day, especially when it was just the Expo and everyone's around and I wanted to meet everyone, I was like, I'm going to walk around as a Jawa carrying a Jawa. And I'll tell you, like, that was the best icebreaker for like ever because people just staring at you and you're like, you know, you want a picture with this. It's never going to happen again.
Yeah, I'm gonna post a picture somewhere.
Yeah.
There's
so
Laura.
I just kept like
imagine Laura and her Jawa.
So for like ever since I've been watching everyone's reels trying to find myself as a background character because it's pretty easy to see. You're like, oh, there I am carrying a Jawa.
Where's
as a Jawa.
Laura? Where's
So,
Jawa?
yeah.
Jawa Laura.
and also just getting to talk to people who would come up to us who you know, want to talk about the creativity of their children. I thought that was really special. So
Yeah.
I felt very honored to have some of those conversations.
Yeah. Mickey, how about you? How was your experience for the Expo side of things?
It was cool. I learned a lot. I watched a lot. I talked a lot. I'm gonna be really honest. I was kind of out of it the entire time. I was running on a wing and a prayer, and then I touched back ground. And then
It was like an episode of Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly,
But
it just
you had some good interactions though, Mickey, with some people, right?
I think so, personally. I think I talked a lot about Con Survival Kits. I didn't do much besides help with the bookstore and the Con Survival Kits. And so it was just nice to really sharpen our pitch with the Con Survival Kits and just get more eyes on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Chantay, how about you? What was your experience with Expo? Now, Chantay and I had the backside of the Expo experience as well as the external, what you saw side. So I don't know if you want to speak to a little behind the scenes versus not versus whatever you feel led to talk about.
I think the behind the scenes actually prepared me for front and center. The truth is that to know the work that went into it was staggering. To understand the many challenges that people faced with it, and the amount of work that was required from our end, because here we thought we would do one thing, but man, as the last 2 weeks, that it did. And then to be a part of it. Faithcon is a hybrid convention. So a lot of the connections that we've made virtually. These are people that we've met, but never met in person. So the greatest joy was seeing old friends first in person for the first time up front, to be able to hug Laura. I didn't know she was that short. But what
Wow.
but what scared me was that she was short but packed with power, you know?
She didn't know you were so tall, Chantay, so, you know.
Yeah, I could see the Krav Maga everywhere. I'm like, okay, I get it. To be able to hug you again, Jess, that was only the second time we'd seen each other in person. And then so many more friends. Daniel from once Terminus Media, now Crooks Comics, and the Dominion Comics, to see him because he was the reason actually that I met everyone that I've ever met. I love Katie.
Yeah, she's ready.
Katie is so prepared. I love it. And I think that my greatest joy was being in a place where people loved being there.
Yeah.
Representing Christ, representing love, representing support for one another as authors. I was in charge of running the table for the consigned authors. Man, I honestly thought maybe one or two books of their books will be bought and no one would really care, because that's been my experience with consignment in bookshops. However, to see people coming to the tables and grabbing stuff off the tables in support was amazing to me. And they were great books. They looked like great books. I took a couple home myself, right? But in my experience, it's like if they're not an author I follow, you tend to avoid. But they were all over it. And I am all over for being supportive of other creators, building a greater creation for the one who created everything, right? So that's what Railmaker stood for me, was this is an opportunity to see the creators do their thing with each other and for each other and in support of each other. And I love that.
Yeah. So for me on the Expo side of things, so the planning side, so since I've had background in event planning and facilities and all that stuff and scheduling, it's always, whenever you're given a test, it's always more than what you expect it to be, because it's an event and because people are people and things change. And it's just the last 2 weeks is, yes, it was crazy, but it was like, this is what event planning is, kind of thing. It's like, it's just what it is. So you just kind of, I think, Laura, you said you either ride the wave or you get struck by it. So you got to ride that wave, So
you
on
wipe
the
out.
back end, what you said, Chantay, like, it prepared me for the actual expo, because since I had no frame of reference for any of these people, I'm like, are you popular? Should I get your autograph? Like, I don't know who these people are. I'm like, I mean, I probably should have done a little more research, but I recognize names because they were the ones on my schedule. They're the guests that came, so that actually helped prepare myself for the engagement with people in person. And I second the in-person, seeing people that you have known online, but now you get to meet in person. I actually met several ladies who follow me who I did not like, actually 3 ladies that I was like, wait a minute, what is your name? And I said their username. They're like, yes. I'm like, I know who you are. And so that was like a cool, like, oh my gosh, connecting the people with the face and the online presence, or even people I've interviewed, like in person, like yourself, or like Brandon Hollingsworth, like, I'm like, and Chris Laporte. I'm like, hi guys. And like getting to meet Brandon's wife was probably like huge because Heather's like amazing and I love her. So on the expo side of things, I loved the expo. I loved running around. I literally was like, it felt like I was just taken from one end to another end. One conversation led to me connecting to someone else or connecting them to someone else. Like that was literally the entire conference of connecting people to either me or someone else or other people together, that I was just a conduit to be like, you two talk. Okay, go. And so that was like, and it was nonstop. There was no rest at the whole,
no.
There was no rest. I
There was
thought
none.
like Thursday night after the cosplay contest, I thought I was just going to go make some printouts for our booth. So I'm walking across their lobby bar area in the hotel to go make copies. And I'm in my costume. I'm in my Marcy Alamancer, not a pirate costume. I go make copies. And as I come back, I'm stopped by this couple at the bar who were having some drinks. And we start talking. Well, they are servers at the Yard, which is a restaurant right in the thing. And so they want me to come. And then at the same time, this other cosplayer, Cambria, the troll lady who I love, who we just adopted into
Trudy
our
the
tribe.
troll.
Yeah, Trudy the troll. We just adopted Cambria in. And she's like, yes, let's go. So we ended up having this conversation with this group. They took pictures with us. And then we went and sat in their section the next day for lunch and just like tipped them really well, because we're like, listen, I love you. But I'm like, I don't know. This has nothing to do with the expo. These are totally unrelated to the expo. And yet God had put them in our path for a reason. So let's go. Let's just do it. So that's what I experienced, was this like constant like back and forth of like God just moving me from one place to another, positioning me in different areas and having conversations with different people. So that was kind of the cool thing for me. So I want to honor everyone's time. Real quick, I know this is kind of short, but if there's something kind of just a cool story that you experienced at the conference that you felt God was glorified in, could you share that story? Christy, do you have something?
I really wanted to highlight something that Katie had said earlier, which is that I really was expecting more of an atmosphere of competition than we witnessed. Because online, what you're seeing mostly, especially on like Instagram, Facebook, is that these authors are doing their marketing, they're promoting their books, they're saying, here's my book, you should buy this. And then you meet them in person, and it was not what I was expecting. They had their booths, they had their books out there, their work was doing the marketing for them. And when I would come up to them and I would want to talk about their book and their worlds that they'd created and purchase their stuff, they would turn right around to me, look me in the eye and say, what is it that you write? What do you do? What are you passionate about? And they wanted to have a conversation about me too. And so that was really sweet and just a lot more than I was expecting. I was expecting to go into the expo and find their books and talk to them about their worlds that they've created and just really encourage them. And they would turn around and encourage me. And one example of that was so sweet was that there's this girl that actually won one of the awards. And I came up to her table. I was gathering signatures, so I wanted her to sign her book for me. And she looked at me and she said, oh, like, I recognize you. You did some art for me a couple years ago. I'd totally forgotten that this had even happened. And so she brought me over to her table and she had a printout of the art that I'd made for her on her table. And she said, here's a pen. I want you to sign your artwork for me. And then I can sign my book for you. And so we just kind of exchanged signatures right there. And I had honestly forgotten that happened. I had made that work for her. And then when I met her in person, I was like, oh my goodness, the connections were made. I was like, yes, you're the person that I did this artwork for. And I'm about to read your book. And so it was a really sweet connection that was made. And she was so nice. And she was like, I want you to sign your thing for me too. And then I'll sign your thing. So it was really sweet. And that was just kind of an example of what happened the entire weekend, was people who were not just interested in what they were building, but what we are building together and getting to know you as well.
Oh, that's such a cool story. I didn't hear that story, Christy. That's awesome. How cool. What a God thing. Like, what a God thing. I love that. Miss Laura, did you have a cool story or God being glorified?
Well, it was
moment?
kind of interesting because I've done some film work, and the 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 person who's putting on the Tolkien C.S. Lewis documentary, actually, he and I had worked with the same people in the past, and I'd like seen him from afar and like never got my introduction, even though we were working with the same people. And we get chatting, and like we know all these people, and it was just kind of out of nowhere, and it was just kind of fun to just chat with him the whole weekend. And honestly, it was kind of like a crazy experience to have everything go wrong and work out. Like everything go wrong and work out, you know. Um, or that they trusted me with a microphone. Yeah,
Because you
things
and
like that.
Chantay did an indie panel,
Right.
an indie author panel meetup.
Yeah, where my job was to, or our job was to make them more awkward with us than each other. I feel like I accomplished that for sure. You know, and like for instance, saying everything kind of went sideways. I was wearing a Jawa costume for Jessica's panel for Cosplay for Christ. We talked about cosplaying as Christians. I go back to our room, and we have an issue where we're locked out. You know, it was just crazy. So I ended up the rest of the day dressed up as a Jawa. And I went upstairs after that to this restaurant that's upstairs next to the lobby, ordering food. And there was this dad there who like totally is like the really normal looking normie dad. Like he's not there for himself, he's there for his kid. You know that. And we're just chatting, end up having this whole conversation about creativity and what it means to be a creative as a Christian, and just in general, what really happens, what's going on in his kid's mind. And he's just like, oh my gosh. And I was able to promote our friend's book, who just launched a book called They
Hmm.
Feel Everything, which Christy actually did all the layout for her. It's really amazing.
Nice.
It's beautiful. And I got to promote this book and tell him about it. And like having the fact that I was dressed up as a Jawa was kind of what opened up the door to have this 20-minute conversation while we waited for takeout with this dad who was struggling to help his kid understand how to stay a Christian and a creative at the same time.
Wow.
And that was the kind of experience that I kept having over and over and over. Is there's something bad happening, but it just flips over into an opportunity over and over.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Miss Mickey, did you have kind of a God moment or something that was really cool that happened with you?
I guess the most fun I had was at the dinner.
Why
That
don't you
was
explain what that was? The dinner. So tell us what that is.
the Faithcon dinner. We just invited people who have been a part of Faithcon, have joined us on the platform, as well as their friends to dinner. There's always space for more at our table. Hopefully, we did fill that table up pretty.
We sure did.
It was pretty full, and it was just everybody talking and getting to know each other. Got to talk to Daniel a little bit more. I did not know he was that sarcastic. It was fun. So
And Daniel is
Daniel
Daniel.
Hancock.
Yeah, yes, that guy.
he's with Crux Comics, right?
Crux Comics.
Yeah,
See,
he's
I
like-
couldn't remember the new name, and I didn't want to say the old name.
The author of the
Just
Dominion
for our
comic
viewers,
that Katie held up.
They're like, who? Who are you talking about? He's one of the guys with Crux Comics that did Dominion. Was one of the comics that was like won a bunch of awards or something.
So great.
So-
Yeah, it's great cover art. Yeah, but that's it.
Okay, awesome. Miss Chantay, what was your either God moment or like just kind of cool? Like that's awesome.
I had a couple. One was being the first to be able to buy Katie's daughter's book. So it was her first purchase. Can you hold that up for me? Yes. Yes. And I am just enjoying reading it. I just read the first page while she was standing there, and I'm like, man, I was blown away by her talent
Yeah.
at that age. At that age, I was running around a basketball court, knocking people over in softball because I wouldn't slide, she's a whole author doing amazing things. And I was so excited to be the first to buy it. And because I insisted, and she has value, and I wanted her to see that she has so much value.
Mm.
So that was one of the greatest God moments, to be a part of helping Katie, help her understand that she has that great value. And I think, again, like Mickey said, friends. We are all about the people that have come alongside and supported FaithCon. It was the first time in that large event space where we have gotten to see so many other authors doing their thing. So just the opportunity to see how this huge event came together was a God moment. Um, it helped me realize I don't ever want to do that with FaithCon. I looked at Laura and I said, I so love our hybrid model right now. I love it. I love that we have small events in partnering cities, and we have virtual panels. And I think the reach and the uniqueness of this model um, will be the future, honestly, because not everyone can make it to the huge events, but we can talk all over the world right here. That was the Riz God moment. And watching you, Jess, dear Lord, you and Laura, the lights you shine. Oh, I love it. I love how people just flock to you. They were attracted to you like lightning bugs. They're just like, oh, this is light. Let me come over and talk to these people. And not only what you do, but just your loving presence and your genuineness, I think, was awesome. And I loved being a part of that. God has blessed me to be around lights. I'm a shadow, but he's blessed me to be around lights. And it was amazing to see the beauty of how you guys reflect his love. And I wanted to be a big part of bringing that to the world continually, right? So that's what FaithCon stands for. Creators coming together ultimately to create something beautiful together in quality, so that it can get to the masses and get that message out to the world.
Yeah.
So those were my God moments.
Chantay, thank you so much for investing like that and encouraging her in her faith and also in her creativity and work. Thank you.
You're welcome. It was a joy and an honor to do it. Yes.
Yes, I second everything Chantay said. I didn't know I could purchase it though, Katie. We'll talk.
It wasn't my idea.
Oh,
Oh.
well, see,
I have a
Chantay,
few
see?
copies left, 7
Okay.
chapters so far.
Okay. Well, I would say there was probably too many for me to even talk about on here, but just two little highlights of just like, we had a couple that was actually part of Narnia Fair that invited us to come and have dinner with them when
That
we
was
first got
great.
in Wednesday night. And that was just so lovely to it felt like God's community, God's table, the house of God, the church of God. Like, it doesn't matter that we're different locations and different environments and whatever, but like just coming around their table and sharing a meal with them was like, felt so biblical. And we played a game that I loved that was so
Amen.
cool. It was just that sharing of bread and fellowship. And then they attended as a date because they have 3 littles. They came in costume and went and had a little shopping date at the expo and bought a bunch of stuff. And they were that was such a cool thing to just see them and like engage with them and that fellowship. And then I would say probably it was really cool. This is kind of a more serious thing, but it was definitely a God moment where God was glorified. In the Cosplay 101 panel that Laura and I did, you know, there was a lot of opposition with me and actually physically sitting down to do the notes on, because I had not prepared what we were going to talk about. I wasn't worried about it, but I was like, I like to have a few points written down so I can kind of follow. We have 45 minutes, let's do it. So there was opposition to getting that done the night before and in the morning. But then, so I was like, okay, that means someone needs to this is important. This, talking about how you make cosplay. So as we're in the discussion of in the panel, one of the topics that came up was crossplay. And I had not intended to talk about crossplay. And we were just talking about, like, if you were struggling with identity of the opposite sex, it's probably not a good idea to cosplay that opposite sex because it may lead you to sin. I can dress up as a dude and it's not a sin for me because I don't struggle with my identity. But for someone who does struggle, that's kind of the conversation how it went. Well, when we were done with that, I got, again, the wave took me to other places and other things, but husband and wife came up and chatted with me about their child, and they were in the cosplay panel, and we just fellowship and ministered to each other, because that's exactly what their child was struggling with, and the stuff that they were doing to help their child to know, they love Jesus and all this stuff. But it was just the stuff we talked about. I mean, I think I was in tears at one point, just sharing with them just stuff that we have dealt with in our own home, and just the walk that we had went through and what we did, and just an encouragement to them that they were doing what they were called to do as the parents. And like, it was just a beautiful conversation. It was a hard conversation because it's a very tough conversation, because we love our children, and for them they were able to have a support via me at that moment to say, keep on doing it, you're doing it right, you obviously love, and they love you too, it's good job, keep doing, don't lose faith, don't drift, don't back up, keep going forward until God gives you the peace. As a parent, you're always worrying for your kids, no matter what age they are. So that was like such a, like, it felt very God ordained for that conversation, where it wasn't planned to come out, and for that was exactly what they needed to hear in that moment. And I'm sure they came to that conference not thinking that's what they were going to talk about. They just came because their creative child wanted to come, and their other child likes to write, so it wasn't their plan, but it was God's plan. So that was something that was like such a cool, the fact that the Realm Makers was able to facilitate that conversation, and the environment where we were able to have that conversation, period, was just really a God thing. So that's probably my God shot right there. So, okay, good ladies, I'm going to close this out. Thank you guys so much for coming. I want to honor all your times and everything. And again, appreciate you guys for coming. You're such a lovely, wonderful, godly group of women. And I am honored and privileged to be able to call you guys my friends. And it's so cool that we all got to experience Realm Makers for the first time together as a group. Like, that was just another God thing, because I mean, I'll probably talk a little bit more about it when you guys go. But does anyone want to say one final thing? Does anyone have a thought before we let you guys go?
Yeah, I want to say thank you also. I don't know who we anyway.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you to all of you for attending also with me. It was a really incredible experience, and it was wonderful to be with godly friends that I love so much, and for us to kind of shoulder this massive thing all happening at one time, like a maelstrom around us.
Yeah.
And to survive, but also to thrive through that. And I'm really, really grateful that I spent all that time with you guys, and man, I wouldn't trade it. It's great. Thank you.
Great.
Amen.
I think that speaks for all of us.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Man, thank you guys.
Well, thank you, ladies, for coming. Guys, thanks for listening. Stick around a little bit longer. I'm going to go on and continue a little more of the conversation about Realm Makers. But ladies, thank you so much for coming. What I say to everyone is to be blessed, know who you are in Christ, and take ground for the kingdom. So thank you, ladies. Have a wonderful day. I love you.
Love you.
Hi, everybody.
Well, guys, I got to tell you something. So we just had that recording with the ladies, and I can tell you, I tried to get onto my computer. I now have my headphones and my microphone, which are working, but I was on there for 15 minutes. It was showing me that my mic was working and my headphones were working, but I couldn't hear them. They could hear me, but I couldn't hear them. And I was going back and forth and like, what in the world? And literally just got on my phone and recorded that last session that you just heard. And I was like, I want to talk a little bit more about Realm Makers. But I just found that very interesting. I just want to just put this scripture out there. James 4:7 says, submit yourselves therefore to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. And I literally prayed over this computer, and the idea of just use your phone came popping into my head. I did. We recorded it, all uploaded. Obviously, you just watched what we recorded. But I just find that very interesting. We've had a lot of obstacles in regards to doing certain things in regards to role makers. We had this, so I did a special friends ministry. It was for the special needs community, and we would hold a church service for the special need community in our area down in Texas. For over 10 years, I was part of that ministry, and I loved it. Loved the people, just precious people, and who love God and just love community. And we would joke, me and the leaders, Gina and Warren Cannon, who, I miss you guys. We would always joke that it was Special Friends Week because everything and anything would be going wrong. And it would frustrate you until you realize, it's Special Friends Week. Satan doesn't want us to be ministering to this community, so he's trying to fight us with every foot, tooth, and nail. And once we realize, it's just that, it'd be fine. And so that actually happened to me at Realm Makers specifically. I kind of alluded to it with the discussion with the ladies, but the night before our cosplay panel, so this was Friday night going into Saturday, I had, it was, guys, it was a late night. We got in. We had just done the Faithcon Convention dinner with people, had a great time. All of that was good. Everything was good. We got to the hotel room, and my friend Katie and her daughter, we shared a room with them. And so they were sitting reading their new books that they just purchased, and were just cozy, snug on their beds, reading, content. My daughter is like nearly passed out on the bed. And I was like, okay, this is perfect timing for me to write down my notes, because I had not prepared anything for the Cosplay 101 panel, because literally like everything else was taking priority. And I knew I was going to be able to have a moment before I had it to sit down and do this. So I was like, I have time. Laura and I have really good banter between each other, so I wasn't worried about what we were going to say. I just like to have it, just my brain is very list oriented. I just like having an outline, just a little guide that I can follow to do the thing, and it was just like, okay. So I go and I'm looking and I cannot find a pen. We're at a writings conference. My purse always has 10 pens in it, no pens anywhere. And I'm like, girls, anyone has a pen? No one has a pen. Then Sophia, my daughter, was like, oh, hey, there's one over there. I'm like, oh, okay. It blended in with the white paper because it was white. So I was like, awesome. Grab the pen and I sit down on the bed, prepared to write my things. And I end up having a little conversation with the girls in the other bed, and we're chatting a bit. And I was like, okay, I need to get back to this. I go down and my pen is gone. I can't find it. I look in the bed. I look in the sheets. I look under the bed. I look between the nightstand and the thing. No pen. The pen is gone, everybody. And at that point, Sophia, my daughter, was like, I'm really tired. I need to go to bed. And the other girls were like, yeah, it's late. Because it was like almost midnight at that point. I was like, oh, okay, I'll just do this in the morning. It's okay. Well, this is the only thing I'll place blame on my daughter. She stole my pillow. I usually use 2. I have a CPAP machine. I have all the things. If I fall asleep, I fall asleep. I never have problems with sleeping. And I was like, it's okay. I'll just deal with 1 pillow. She's already asleep. She was so tired. So I go to sleep, and not even like, I was off to sleep, and my CPAP machine falls off the because I have it propped up, the tubing falls off, and it jerks my whole head one way, and I was just like, oh my goodness. And so I like mess with it, and I'm terrified I'm waking up everybody because I don't want to be a bother. And so instead of putting it back up like I should have done, I just left it hanging on the ground. Well, because I left it hanging on the ground, it now is kind of pulling my whole face to the right. And I fall asleep. And then I can't tell you how many times I woke up between all of a sudden 2 issues in my body, which I haven't had happened in months, start flaring up. So my whole right side, my sciatica, start flaring up, where it's like this burning, aching, it's like restless leg, but it hurts. And you feel like you got to stretch it. It start flaring up. I'm like, okay. So I'd like turn and kind of stretch or whatever. And then my right hand started going numb. And it has not gone numb, and I can't tell you how long, but it starts going numb. I'm like, what the heck? But it's waking me up. It's so numb. And then so between those two things, and then my daughter, who this whole time has stayed on her side of the bed, is now flopping literally 4 times. I had to be like, go to your side. She's like literally arm on my body or leg over onto my side. I'm like, anyway, needless to say, I got very little sleep Friday night going into Saturday. So when I woke up at 7 in the morning, I had a raging headache. And I was just like, okay, let me take some medicine. And normally Katie would go get coffee and then come back. I tried to do my Bible study and everything I was distracted, whatever. And it's like, Katie, let me go with you and go get coffee. So we go get coffee. Even the coffee was wrong. They got our orders wrong. And as I'm walking back to the bedroom, all of a sudden I go, oh, special friends. So I was just like, oh, that's what's happening. And then I start laughing. So then I get back to the bedroom and Sophia's up because it's time to wake up. And I start telling her all the things I just told you. And she's feeling bad. It's like, listen, don't feel bad. You did steal my pillow. That's the only thing you can't help flopping on my side. I'm not blaming you for that. But it's okay. She's like, it is. I'm like, special friends. And I was like, obviously, what I had to say today in the Cosplay 101 was important. And I needed to say something in it. And it turns out that's exactly, it was stuff we talked about in the cosplay, like I said earlier, with the ladies, stuff that we brought up ended up being conversations for people who needed to hear something or needed that encouragement later. And so I was like, God, you're awesome. And thank you. And honestly, like when I had the realization of what it was in the hotel room, I literally said, God, it's all yours. If there's anything not of you in here, get out in the name of Jesus. I'm done. And I literally sat down and was able to put my notes, no hindrance. And the rest of the day, it was like, again, like I said with the ladies, it was like someone leading me the whole time to and from different interactions with people. It was really cool. And stuff that was stressful or things that were like, this is a problem, like Laura with her Jawa costume. We had a instance where I'm on the programming side of things with the scheduling, and we had a scheduling issue with there was, at the end of the day, there was a romance panel that was writing romance with zero boundaries. And we thought someone was the moderator, but no one was the moderator. And so the session had started and the lead guy, Scott, came up to me and was like, hey, we don't have a moderator. And so we discussed it a little bit. And I was talking to some other people and it was like, we have an emergency. So we're talking. I'm like, well, do you want me to go do the moderator? And he's like, well, I can't. I don't know anything about romance, which made me laugh. And he's like, would you? I'm like, okay. But internally, I'm like dying because I'm like, I'm a prepper, guys. I like to prepare. I like to have certain things in order, like things being sprung on me. Internally kills me, but it was also like, okay, sure. I also have a what needs to get done, let's do it kind of attitude. So I'm like, well, this is the need. We need to do this. So I'm just going to do this. So we go into the panel and there's 4 ladies, and I did not know any of the ladies at the time, which now I'm like, the ladies were so awesome. Cool group of ladies. And so we go in, I'm in the back, and it's a full room, totally packed. And the one girl that was saying the questions, I was kind of like, well, I think they're okay. I think they're doing okay. And Scott's like, yeah, I think they're okay. But then one of the ladies saw us. They're like, oh, good. We have the moderators here. And I was like, oh, okay. Just kidding. I think they okay, we're going to do this. And so Scott gently backed out of the room and I went up there, and I was literally the entire time, guys, the entire time was like, okay, I know this is romance and there's 4 ladies that are writers of romance, and that's all I knew. So I was like, God, you got to give me a question. Just give me a question. And so they were finishing up a question that one of the ladies had asked. And so when they finished the question, a question popped into my head. And so I asked that question, and they proceed to to start answering that question. And then immediately I'm like, God, I need another one. I'm like, I need another one. And not until the last lady speaks and does her answer, does another question pop to my head. And literally the entire time, that is how the 45-minute session went, where it get to the end and God would give me a question. And then a couple of times some audience members had questions. Praise God. So it was like, yes, you with the hand. What is your question? So, and it ended up being great. And I was like, all glory to God, because that was not me. Zero me. Kind of makes me think of like how God just wants us dependent on him. God wants us to be trusting always in him. And this conference was such I'm just going to trust in you, God, and you're going to lead me. And this open-handed, not clenched, wherever you lead me, God, is where we go. And literally the entire conference was that. It was that. It was God leading one connection to another person connecting to another person. I even had a couple, this was so crazy, y'all. I even had a couple come up to me. I'm like, hey, conversation, who are you? Where are you from? What do you do? And it was an actress, and she was getting back into the business after having baby. She was there with her husband. I'm like, oh, where you live? Well, where they live is where someone that I know lives, and he has an animation studio. I'm like, hey, do you know so-and-so? And they're like, no. I'm like, why don't I introduce you? So we're literally walking because he's about to start a panel. And I'm like, let's go. Again, small talk, let me take you to them. Come on, let's go. And as we're walking, I'm like, what are your names? Well, it turns out their names are exactly what my sister and her husband's name are. I'm like, that's a weird coincidence. But I'm like, God, that's not a coincidence. It's confirmation. I'm supposed to introduce him to my friend. And so that was just like one of many examples of what happened the whole time during the conference. But let me back it up a little bit. So first day, we got in Wednesday. We ended up having dinner with some sweet friends that we met at Narnia Fair that opened up their home. And it was so lovely. And they're just lovely people. And it just was such a nice beginning to the fun chaos, the God chaos, or the God helping in the chaos, us being dependent on God moment that is the conference. So we had that Wednesday. Thursday, we couldn't set up for the booth yet until Thursday morning. And so Thursday morning was the first day of the writers conference, and that's when the exhibitors got to set up all their booths. So we're setting up our booth and doing well. And then, it takes a while to set up the booth. And again, anytime you have a new booth set up, a new location, it's different, but kind of similar to what the Narnia Fair was. But the Narnia Fair was a themed thing. And then this one, we're literally partnering next door to Faithcon. So we were just figuring stuff out, location, how to place stuff. It just takes a while to do that. So by the time we got everything set the way we want it, it was like, okay, I need to go get ready for the costume contest. Well, we had set up part of one of the jobs I had to help realm makers out was to help them with their costume contest and parade. And it is a tradition that they do every year. This is their 14th year of doing a costume parade and competition. And so, I had planning meetings with the ladies who were involved with that in the past. And so we were able to come up with a plan of, hey, let's do online registration first. That way we have a list. And it was a simple, like, what's your name? Who's your character? Tell us a fun fact that you want us to know about your costume. And so that we had about 37 people had signed up, and we did the cutoff to Wednesday night. So Thursday morning, I went and printed out all the sheets because I made sheets. We had 3 secret judges in the audience. So I wanted to make sure that the judges had a copy of all the names so that it'll be an easy thing for them to follow. So this is my organized administrative brain at work. Well, because in the past they had people just show up to sign up for the competition, I didn't want to eliminate that this year because that's what they're used to. So I want them to be like, well, we still offer that because I don't want to disappoint people. And I don't, people who spend time on their costume that want to join, I always want that to be an option, especially if they don't know because it's not what they used to do in the past. So all that to say, we opened up the registration for in-person signups from 5 to 5:30. And so we had a steady flow of people. And there came a point where it was like, I think we need to cap this at 50, because the way that their structure was with the timing of all the event activities is Thursday night is their awards banquet. It starts off with the costume parade, and then they go into dinner, and then it goes into the awards ceremony, starting off with the winners of the costume contest. So that's the gist of the way it goes. But we have to get through everyone first in order to get to dinner. So everyone's waiting for us to be done in order for them to eat. So there's kind of a pressure there to like, okay, cool, but I'm hungry, So, you just want to honor people's tummies and the people who are signed up for the competition. So we had a steady stream of people, and it got to the point where we're to the last few people, and I'm like, hey guys, we're going to have to cut it off at 50. We have like 2 spots left, and we had more than 2 people there. And so there was a Star Wars group, and I convinced them like, hey, why don't you 3 actually like be a group together since you're all Star Wars? And they were so sweet about it. They're like, well, we don't have to do it. We don't even have to walk. I'm like, no, why don't you guys go together? And that way it's like a Star Wars group. And if you guys win anything, then the person that was here first, she gets the award. And so all 3 of them agreed. I'm like, perfect. So that's 1 spot and 3 people in one. And then another person signed up. And then there was 1 girl left, and it was spot 51. And she was in this cute, I think it looked like a Link costume. And I was like, you know what? Just come on. I'll just put your name on it. It's fine. So I'm filling this out. I also have a helper, my new friend Cambria. She was Trudy the Troll. She is transcribing these onto the other 3 pages for the judges and for the MC who needs to read these from the stage. So she's doing God's work, transcribing, and we were able to get everyone in. And actually, one lady actually ended up dropping off, so we had exactly 50, so it worked out perfect. And that was great. So then we go and we do the walk and everything went smoothly. I was pretty happy. We had one person show up much later that it was after the fact. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, we can't add you to it because we're now officially like done. So all the entries were read from the stage, their name, what they put in. And so it went great. And then dinner happened. We had the awards banquet, which was so cool as a, non-writer, just like I'm taking pictures of all the books that won or were nominated, because I'm like, oh, I think I might want to buy some of these. So that was a cool event. So that was the focus for Thursday night. So then Friday is the last day of the Writers Conference, first day of the Expo. Let me just back up. So I used my cosplay of the Not a Pirate from Narnia, and I modified it to be Maracy from Alloy of Law, the Brandon Sanderson Alamancy Mistborn books. So it's the second era. So they're kind of like gunslinger 1800s, but they have metal powers that they can, if they ingest metal, then they can do certain things. And so my character was Maracy. So I just added a couple of guns because she's a constable gunslinger lady, and it worked out great. I was like, I actually had a cosplayer dressed up as Vin from that book series there, and we took a picture. Melody, you're awesome. She had the whole mist cloak. It was cool. And then so many other people dressed up as really cool stuff. So the whole costume thing, and it wasn't just costume. Here's what's cool. It wasn't just the people entering into the costume contest that dressed up. Almost everyone in the banquet, and they had almost 600 people in that room, everyone dressed up. I mean, a few people didn't, but the majority, people were dressed up and in costume, because that's what one of the ladies, Lindsay Franklin, she won Book of the Year, and she's in this cute little R2-D2 dress. I mean, it was like totally perfect. I'm like, these are my people. This is great. So that was Thursday night. So then Friday was, I dressed up as Queen Eleanor. My daughter dressed up as Merida. So we just did that whole day. The day went very smoothly. Again, just like I end up having lunch with Cambria, with the people from the bar we met the night before, that story I was saying with the ladies. And then again, it was just like going around. I tried to go and look at everything at the expo floor, and every time I would start talking to someone, it would just like get distracted, get moved around. I ended up talking to Katie Leigh, who is the voice actress for Avengers of Odyssey. She's done so much other voice. She's a voice actress. And I know that she had a panel and I wanted to meet her. So I went up to her and her husband was there. So sweet. And I was just asking how her panel went. And she was like, it was okay. I was like, well, are you what happened? And she's just like, my SD card broke that had my presentation on it. And I was like, oh no. And she's like, well, and I need to buy another one, but I can't, there's no stores here and I can't get it shipped here. And she was just like, we're trying to figure out. So immediately I'm out of cost, and I'm like, okay, I'm in programming mode, event mode. I'm like, well, let me go talk to some people. I'm like, maybe you could borrow. And she's like, I can't borrow because from this, I'm going to another thing and I need to do that presentation. So I was like, oh, okay. I was like, you keep doing what you're doing. Let me go talk to some people and see if we could help. And so she's like, okay, again, really sweet. Well, I end up running into one of the ladies that is part of the events team that is on staff. And we start talking and I was like, oh, hey, by the way, do you know if we can get an SD card for Katie? And so we start talking and she goes into programming, fix the thing mode. And so she ends up we're going to other people and we talk and I was like, okay, I'm going to release this to you. Cause I can't help any further because I don't have the ability to go get a card, but I'm going to release this to you. Well, later that day I saw her, I was like, hey, did that all work out? She's like, yep, we got it covered. She's good. I was like, oh, thank God. Thank you, Jesus. So again, it was like, just, I happened to ask how that thing, and that led to God using me to find someone to help her for the next thing. So again, that was like, it was wild. It was wild, but like lovely. Like I loved it. I loved meeting all the people too. Like there were so many friendly people and just excited about just engaging with me and like with the costume, because I was doing my, I'm in my character when I'm Queen Eleanor. I'm doing the whole Scottish accent and doing the thing, and pretending like I'm her. I'm cosplaying her, so I try to be immersive when I'm in Queen Eleanor. And so that was just fun. Even like going to lunch and seeing kids and like waving at them. And like I had this one actually at lunch, a special needs adult sat next to us and he kept looking at us, and I came up and talked to them afterwards and just had this sweet conversation of like just encouraging him and his parents, and like he was just really excited to see Queen Eleanor from Brave. And like that was just, again, just a little like, okay, had I not been at the restaurant because I agreed to the wait staff that we would come and see them and sit in their section, I wouldn't have engaged with either that waiter or that family or those kids who got a little more joy because we just were cosplaying a character and loving on them. So I just thought that was really cool. And then Friday was, end of Friday, we had the dinner with all the Faithcon Convention people. And again, lovely, just really cool to connect with people and have good food. And it was just fun, relaxing. And then all the shenanigans I talked about with the Friday night going into Saturday and the Cosplay 101 and all that stuff. But overall, guys, it was such a blessing to be there. I felt very honored that I got to be a part of it, that I was able to be a part of like the planning side of it, even though it was work and it was okay. But like, it was still at the end of the day, it was like, this was so like God ordained. This is like God's hand was in all of it. And you could just see how he just pulled strings and guided people and all that stuff. It was just really neat. And I felt like we made some really good connections with people, and even not just for me, but for my daughter, who she is an artist and she wants to go into animation. And literally across from our booth was Tony Bancroft, who is the animator from Disney. He has his own animation studio now, but he did Pumbaa and he did Kronk from Emperor's New Groove and Iago from Aladdin. Like
what he did. And so she got to go meet him, and she was so excited because those were cartoons she grew up with, and she loves that animation style. And so for her to connect with him and talk to him a while, and she bought some postcards that he signed, that was like a lot of joy that she got just from meeting him and talking to someone who made it in the business, and that's where she wants to go for her future. So that was just a neat, like, just for her to experience as well. Anyway, it was just lovely. And the fact that I got to be with my best friends, like, because they're all in Texas. I'm in Missouri. I got to see all of them, and that was something extra special and just like a warm hug for me as well. So that was Realm Makers. Scott and Rebecca Miner, thank you guys for doing what God told you to do and starting that convention. I think Becky was the one that started it, and her husband's like, how can I help? And then the Expo coming in onto it last year, and this being its second year. Like, you guys are awesome, and I really appreciate you guys welcoming into the tribe, the realm sphere of people. But it was truly a delight to be there and experience this cool world you guys have created for Christian fantasy writers and just Christian creatives in general. It's a neat, unique space that doesn't really exist right now in convention form, and I wanted to see more of it. Honestly, I just want to see more and more of this stuff where Christians are invading spaces of creativity, and it just makes my heart happy, honestly, because there was so much joy at that conference. Like, even in the crazy, there was still joy there because it felt like everyone there loved Jesus, and I know that, like, the staff all felt that as well. Like, they were loved on by the people who were attending the conference as well. So it's just a cool example of Christ's love to each other for fellowship, but then also, like, with others outside the conference, got to experience it. So that's it, guys. There's more, but I'm going to stop the yapping. And I'm probably going to take a break for the rest of the summer after this. Just take a break, enjoy my family until school starts up again. Then we'll start all this craziness again. So I love you guys. Thanks for listening, and be blessed. Know who you are in Christ, and take ground for the kingdom. See you guys.